Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Entertainment Hub Digital Tutorials. Um, yeah. So, for those of you who are in Africa, okay, I'm an African, Nigerian to be precise. So, for those of you who are in Nigeria, I think Ghana, yeah, those are the two I can remember. There's one other country. Anyways, for those of you who are in any of these countries I just mentioned, this tutorial is for you or anyone looking to get to use Paystack for any project. Maybe you're in a region where the service is allowed or something. Anyways, that's aside. So if you're using Paystack to develop a project, uh, most likely you should already have an overview of what Paystack is. So Paystacks, as you can see here, Paystack helps businesses in Africa get paid by anyone, anywhere in the world. So basically, what is happening here is this: you develop a UI or something, send the link to anyone, and anyone can send you money from anywhere in the world. Okay. So, we're just going to go straight into the tutorial. Okay, this is a tutorial. From the title of this video, you can see that this is a tutorial about using Svelte or SvelteKits with Paystack. I haven't seen a video whereby they go straight forward with this or without using some service on like Repo, WordPress or something. I haven't seen like that, so I want to do this so you guys can get the best out of it. Okay. So this will just be a test account. It'll just be a test, but I'm going to be using my actual account. It's in test mode. Okay. So we're just going to log in first. Or if you don't have an account, just go ahead, create an account, fill in necessary fields. It's not that hard. Okay, so let's use this one. Okay, sorry. It's always good to enable your two-factor authentication, because with your two-factor authentication you are going to be able to have added advantage. Someone would easily get access to your account or anything. 644 okay. So as you can see, my account is currently in test mode, so these are not actual payments. I don't have anyone or any business that I'll be sending this kind of money. As you can see, they're all test emails, your email at email.com, this, that, all test emails, right? Funny enough, you can even export them to CSV, that is Excel. Okay, so next is that is Paystack. It's we're going to get into that in a bit. Paystack is just used to get payment from people. Let's see. So next is SvelteKit. Like I said, we're using Svelte to develop this project. So I will just be this up. Okay, so first of all, you move into the let me just go to the main. Okay, so first of all, you see I'm using Linux Mint 21.0 or 20.0, sorry, for those of you who are wondering what operating system I'm using. I'm not using Windows. Okay, so first of all, you cd into your desired directory before you put in the project. So I'm going to document/project, or if you don't know how to do it or you're confused, just cd first go into document, the cd next into project. I use the tab. The tab automatically completes the word for me as long as that folder or file exists. Okay, so next, Ctrl+Shift+V. I'm going to paste this, but I'm going to name this Svelte Paystack app. So there are three ways I'm going to be showing you guys how to do this. We're going to be testing them out and seeing if they are possible. First of all, with first of all, we'll be using the form actions. First of all, today we'll be using the pop-up method for Paystack. Then I'll show you the pros and cons of using pop-up with Paystack and Svelte. Secondly, we're going to be using the fetch API that uses the server side code with the plus server.js file, and so I'll explain all of this as we go on. Then next I will be using form actions, which form actions might prove to be maybe the simplest. I don't know. Simplest in the sense that it doesn't require so much code to write, unlike the fetch API. I want you to note the things I will be using in this project is mostly Axios. That is the external thing we'll be using for this project, Axios. Okay, yes, we're using JavaScript, so yeah, yes. So we'll see into Svelte Paystack app, then npm install. Oh yeah, right. You need to first of all change your version of Node. I was using Node 14 or something. That is, if your default version of Node is not set to 16 or higher, yeah, you have to change it. Okay, so let's run that again. Note, I used NVM. So if in this Node version manager, for those of you that know what NVM is, NVM stands for Node version manager. It's a very easy process. If there's any new Node version that comes out, this can download it for you. You can use it to install the version of Node and eventually keep track of it. So eventually keep track of it, and at the same time it piles them up and keeps, so you can use any version of Node you want. Some projects may require you to use Node 18, you use Node 18. Some versions may require you to use Node 16 or versions lower than 16 for the project to be compatible. So that is the use and the work of NVM for me. Okay, so we're just going to open this in our Visual Studio Code. Okay, so we have a fresh project. All we're going to be doing is this. We're going to start our server. Oh no, we're not going to start our server yet. We're going to need to install something. So first of all, let's take a look at the project overview. By default, the page that comes up is this page.svelte. This is the first page that mounts and displays on the browser. You can decide to add your layout.svelte or any other file that you want or need or anything. Yeah, that's just it. So basically we're just going to be replacing this. First of all, like I said, we're going to be installing a few other things. npm install -- save Svelte. What else? npm install Axios. Sorry. Also to save it as the project dependency. What else do we need? Let me see if I can get some from my older project. Okay, .env. We're going to need that because Svelte has its own way of using environment variables. So if you don't want it to be using that its own way, you can use .env as an alternative way. Now here is why you may not use Svelte's way of declaring environment variables and using them in your project. here's one reason why you may not. If you are hosting it on Netlify and you don't know how to use Netlify, rather than going through that stress of having to go and learn how to use Netlify's environment variables and so on and so forth, especially when you're a beginner just like me, you can just decide to declare your own environment variables with your .env file, use your .env package, and then import it there. Use the normal process.env blah blah, as we all do with JavaScript environment variables. So yeah, enough of the talking. Honestly, I'm really getting tired of the talking. So I think that those are the few things we need. Okay, so just for those of you who don't know how to use Zellstrap, you go to zellstrapjs.org. .js.org. Then they'll give you their outline and how you can start up with their projects. Okay, so we have installed this already. So we're going to be adding it in our layouts. We're going to be adding it in our layouts. Layout of Svelte. When I say in our layout, I don't mean our static HTML layout, or as this one shows. We're going to be using it in our plus page, or plus layouts. Sorry. Don't always forget to put this. Okay, it's very necessary you put it, otherwise your page won't load. So okay, first of all, I want to I'm going to be importing our button from Zellstrap container. If you don't know how to use any of these Zellstrap components, you can just go out to their sites. It's quite easy to use, very easy, very straightforward to use. What else? I think just those two. Okay, so we're just going to use the main tag here. Then the button tag low. Let's say page with pop up. We'll copy this, paste it 2 more times. Page with Axios and fetch API, and then page with form actions. So this other two are going to be for our part 2 and part 3 of this series. So but for today we're going to focus on the part with the pop-up. Okay, so let me just do this. I don't know why I just love this protocol. Okay, so you have 2 options. You can either start up your project here, okay, so let me just close this up. I don't really need that. I prefer using the terminal inside of this guy. So VS Code. So all we need to do now is just use nvm use. One thing is that each bash or each terminal is like a new instance of everything, so you will most likely have to switch again. So npm run dev and okay. So let's see our application now. Localhost 5173. So we're just going to add the line break for each of these guys. So let's just make this a double one. If you're more into front end and design, then possibly this won't be the best for you, because if like me, it's too local, it's too basic, blah blah blah. But this is what's going to happen. I'm just going to add little style. If you're watching this project, probably you already familiar with most of these things. So yeah, let's see. Okay. Center. Now this block is just going to do this. Yeah, this. How they're going to be like. Okay, so this looks a little bit more better, and the reason we're going with this choice of blue is because of Paystack's logo. However, let's see if we can get this logo from Paystack. I really like to use Paystack, or basically just go over to Google and Paystack logo. Then yeah. Let's go to images. Let's see that. Let's just get a new one, honestly. Let's go to documents, projects, result, Paystack, save inside static. Note one thing you should always know is that for images, always save inside your static folder. So source index.png width 255 pixels, height 255 pixels. I'm not really sure, but let's just see how this is going to go like. One thing about Svelte that you should know is that it should always have an alternate attribute. So what will be alternate? Alternate is usually because of sites that probably don't have the ability to load up the image, or maybe the image takes time to load, and for some reason it cannot be loaded, or whatever. The alternate attribute there is what's going to give someone that sense of knowing, okay, this is what's supposed to happen here. So we'll just say Paystack logo. Let's see how it goes. Oh, this is okay. So let's reduce the height to like 100 pixels. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, this kind of works, but I'm not okay with it. The width, let's make it 170. Something like this seems okay, right? Okay, no problem. So okay, so for those of you who don't know how to do this color picking thing, I myself just found out color. Oh, sorry, my bad. Forgot. thought this is the correct color picker. This is it. So yeah, this is it. Okay, let's just leave it at this. Let's not really worry ourselves about UIs and everything. This won't really come in handy. Okay, so what we can do next is this. Pretty and okay, so one, we have page width pop-up. So let's call it pop-up. And inside our pop-up we are going to have okay, I'm going to show you guys two ways that we can use this pop-up. So we're going to have our plus page dot svelte. So let me see if we can import our button component from Svelte strap. Okay, yeah, we can. Okay, so yes, we can do that, and just to see if it works. Okay, so I want to create an ahref to pop up. Okay, so that's working. Okay, so now we get into the main work. So we get into the main work. So first of all, we're going to have to develop a form on submit. It's going to handle a submit function, and on submit, like an event. Submit is an event. So when you submit the form, what is it to do? It's to invoke a function and carry out the task in that function. So what will we name our function? Let's say pay with Paystack. Create a function. It's not going to be an asynchronous one, so pay with Paystack. Sorry. Okay, so there are going to be multiple things. First of all, event modifier. If you one thing about Svelte is that it usually likes configuring and reading things in some kind of TypeScript type of way. So yeah, you can just do this. So let's see. Let's have an h3 or a h5 that says name. Then an input tag type of text required. We're to bind the value with Okay. Now, one thing about me is I like wrapping my things in containers. It just gives me this nice looking kind of automatic styling by centralizing everything on the page. So okay, there we have it. That's okay. So secondly, what do you need to do? Go over to your Paystack site. Now this is what we're going to be modifying. We're going to go to Paystack's documentation. Okay, we're going to go into over top documentation. Okay, so basically I'm just taking guys here at once now. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot. So this is what we'll get into in our next video, but for now I'm going to focus on this, the pop-up method. So payment yeah. So this, okay, let's just copy this model form, copy that, come over here and paste. Okay, so originally there's going to be some kind of errors. So on submit button, it's going to be pay with Paystack. Okay, so it's a model form that you can just get. That script stack, I'm just going to do results head, then put that there. So what else do we need? All we just need is the config file configuration. So this configuration is just now let me just copy everything here and explain it to you guys. But note, this is going to give us a lot of errors, so prepare yourself. Boom, there we have it. Okay, so you see that we have our function pay with Paystack, right? Now you will go over to your, let me just close this up. So you just come over here to copy your public key, assign it here. Now you can do this, but for me, I just prefer having a particular variable called let's config gonna be an array with key like that, email, let's do example, that's example.com. want to just be 0. And note, you guys have to still read this. The measurement, like the units, like in naira for instance, the unit is usually in kobo. So to get it in the actual naira and not in kobos, you have to multiply by 100. So let's say I want to pay, let's open my calculator. So let's say I want to pay 1000 naira, right? In Paystack, if you just use 1000 naira, it's like saying okay, that is in kobo, so you grab. But then 1000 naira multiplied by 100, that will give you 100,000. You understand? So let's go over to Google Converter and 100,000 kobo. So naira. Okay, this thing is giving me issues. I really don't know how best I can explain this thing to you guys. Okay. Nigerian kobo. Anyways, the thing gets its values in kobo. So for Nigerian kobos, you have to multiply that value by 100 to get the actual value. You understand what I'm talking about in a bit. Okay, so next, what is next? Our ref. This ref can just remain the same. On close is a function. Then what else? Callback. It's a function with a parameter of response, and then we'll just copy paste this. It's nothing too serious. Okay. So I want to give you guys a compare and contrast kind of type of situation. Okay, so you see this part where you see payments, like constant of payment form, document the element by ID, payment form, blah blah blah. It's trying to get the ID of this form, right? So I can work with it. But in result, you don't need that, so you can get rid of that. We don't even need the ID of that form. So instead of that, this is what we're doing. Normally we're going to add event listeners, so you grab, so that we can, because what he's doing is that he wants to get that ID of that form to listen for any kind of event that is going to be done to that particular ID. The form has the ID, so he's looking for any events, like a submit event now. So that's why he had to get the document by its element ID, just for verification. So the variable name is payment form, so it's getting the ID of this form down here. So it's getting that payment form ID, it's going to have to pass it to payment form. Then once it does that, payment form can now be listening for events that occur on this form as a whole. Most likely you want to listen to, okay, a submit event. Then after it is a submit event, it's going to do something like trigger this function. If you want to know more, you can go over to MDN developers back to the site. All you need to do is just search for add event listeners. Add events. Okay. So as you can see, the type of event is what you need. Then the listener, what kind? The listener, that is, who is listening to this? You understand? Okay, when who is listening to this? It's this function that it should be listening to this. So, okay, no problem. Then what options you want to pass to it? You pass in the options of anything you want. So it could be, for instance, passive. It's a boolean that indicates the function specified by listener will never call prevent default. So if you don't want it to call prevent default, the prevent default is basically a how do I call it? It's an event modifier, exactly. So it's an event modifier. So normally you will just pass the value of false, right? So prevent default is going to be equals to false. You understand? It's a boolean. But in this case, prevent default is what we need. We don't want it to reload the page or reload the form or anything. So instead of that, instead of using all that long talk, all we do is just go down here, add an event modifier of prevent defaults. Simple as that. So if we have two options, you can either use that prevent defaults directly or use non-passive. So basically it's like almost the same kind of thing. I don't know if I'm really correct, but yeah, just think about that. Just simply put, our event modifiers in our function. Okay, so this is what it is. These are event modifiers. So events is the event, then prevent default. You can pass anything you want. It must not be the word event, it's just a parameter. So parameter can take any of the methods or function available to it. So what else do we need? I think that's about it. So we have defined our config, right? Let's move this down, as JavaScript will be taking information from up to down. So we've defined our config. We have seen and understood why this was needed. So I was trying to get the idea of the form to listen for events. Then here it's add an event listener. We don't need that. Okay. So last but not the least, this. All we need to do now is carry this. Or let me just do it manually. Okay. So first of all, we'll pass the value of handler to Paystack Pop.setup. Then I'm going to take the parameter or argument of config. Now note, all these things are not really errors that should worry you. If you just hover on them and you have an intelligence or something, VS Code can help you fix them out by ignoring them, because they're not really errors, they're just observations by TypeScript comparing itself with JavaScript. So now that I've seen the handler, I'll just say going to say handler dot open iframe. So now with this, we'll be able to wrap up everything that you see inside of here out. Something as simple as this. Okay. So let's see. Now what is next? You most likely want to pass values, right? So you can do this. Email, then you can bind the value. Note, if you have this on click here, you don't need to put this on submit again. but on submit is usually better because then you can add event modifiers. But in buttons, you can, sometimes I don't really know, but I don't think you can add events modifiers. But anyways, it's always safer and better to put it at the start of the form tag. So we're going to bind this value here to email, but note you need to have all those variables already listed. So let's email amount. Okay, so I'm going to bind value to pay amount, like payment amount, then create, don't forget, always have to create a variable. So since we're working in money, instead of passing this as an integer, we're going to pass it as a float. So this, well, let's just leave it at name. Okay, the rest of it you can just forget about it. Okay, so what is our form going to look like now? Okay, so what is our form going to look like now? Let's first of all change all these labels to a h5 tag. The reason why I'm changing this is because I don't want to start getting into Svelte right now. So if you're using Svelte, you can't use the custom input tags from Svelte or the input components from Svelte to do anything with that label. So if you're doing that, you rather use form label that comes on Paystack. So that comes on Svelte. So you just go over there and read up. I'm just trying to make this video as simple and as short as possible, even though I've taken so much time. Okay, so this should be it. We're done with our form right now. Yeah, we should be done with our form. Let's just add this style form. Background color, what should be the background color? Let's use the same background color we use for our buttons. So this is white. Okay, so let's see how this is going to turn out. Let's just align everything to center. Let's see how this will go. So pay pop-up. Sheesh. Okay, that's cool. Okay. This makes sense. Let's add the border radius of 20 pixels. Okay, so let's say it's a donation form, right? Page 3 of donates. Okay, so I think we have our form. Okay, so we have a form here, and yeah, that's just how it is. So now moment of truth is just to test it out, and see. Okay, we're not yet done. We're going to first of all have to submit the information coming from the form. So what do we have in the config? We have email and amount, which we're going to be getting from the body. Then the config dot amount is going to be a parse. We're going to pass it as a float since we're working money of pay amount, and that will be multiplied by 100. Okay, so let's see. Moment of truth. MLD at g.c. Now let's see 10,000 naira. Name them the. Let's go. Ouch. Attribute email must be a valid email. Okay. Maybe it's how I filled it, maybe it's not. Okay, definitely was how I filled it. Okay, so that is working. It is working. Yeah. So this is working so far, so good. Now let's pay and see what happens. Okay. However, if you are conscious about security matters, you can move this to a server file. Yeah, that will still be not so secure, because there's still a way it can be exposed to the front end, the client side. And one last thing, as I mentioned, remember I told you about multiplying by 100, so we have just removed that. So let's see, we put 1,000 there and name. So notice this, just notice this, it's 10 naira right here, 10 naira. So it's converting it in kobo. So 1,000 Nigerian kobo to naira is approximately, it's 10 naira. So for every 100 kobo is 10, every 100 kobo is 10 naira. So this is every 100 kobo is 10 naira. We have to multiply the number of kobos by the value that we're giving to give us the actual amount of money that we want to put. So that's why we have to make this multiply by 100. So when you give this, you give 10,000, or let's say 1,000 that originally was 10 naira, and submit. There, it's 1,000. If it's 100 naira you want to put, it's not bad. Okay, so yeah, you guys understand. Let's refresh the page. Let's say 20,000 naira. Yeah, so this, yeah, you can use any method and pay. Yeah, so yeah. So it's 2,000 I sent, not 20. So that's about it. There's another way you can do this. You can decide to use page.js or page.js, anyone. And that doesn't stop the fact that the keys will still be exposed. Okay, so we can export an asynchronous function using Svelte's load functions. So let's config. If you set C to const config, then you cannot edit the values that will be coming to the config. So what you do instead is this: use the let keyword. So what are we going to do? We're going to pass. Let's just cut this out. Paste it. Now we're going to return config. I'm going to parse it as a JSON. Then this, I don't know why this is like this. Well, yeah, it has to be serializable, so we're deserializing it right now. Stringify config. So this is not going to load. It's going to be supposed to give an issue. Well, anyways, this is what we're going to do. So normally we just export. Data is a specific keyword, a reserved keyword. So this config the email here. This is how we're going to do it. So let's config. We set to the value come from data. And now let's quickly log. Let's log this console.log config. And then yeah, so we see there. So now console.log data.